Hey guys, how's it going? So today we're going to be changing oil on the Mitsubishi Challenger project, if you remember this. And so what's going to be going on is, first off, oil cap's really easy. We're just going to be taking the oil cap off, and we're just going to lay it on top of the intercooler up like this. Nice and good. And from this point, we hop underneath and we're going to undo the bolts on the bottom of our splash guard, which is super easy. As you can see, we got this one, there's 4 right there, and there's probably going to be 2 more back there. I'm going to get a trouble light in here to actually show you better where these bolts are, so stay tuned for the next part. Alright guys, so as you can see, I'm underneath it, and that's the ceiling. So that first bolt I pointed out, one's right there, one's over on the opposite side, one's right here, and there's one right here. So as you can see, there's 6 bolts to take off this mud plate. You're gonna have to drop the bottom one first, and actually, sorry, there is a couple more. There is actually 2 more along the back strut bar. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts there, and then you'll have one there, probably one right there, but it looks like one of them might have been lost while off-roading. And then we got one right there and one right there. That'll drop your mud guard. So just take off your mud guard, first this bottom plate, and then we'll take off this top if we need to. If we can access the filter from here, we might not have to take this one off. So drop these 6 bolts first. Alright guys, so after you get that big ugly mud pan off, which is really still good because it's made of metal, you will see it is right there. That is your drain plug. It's literally like right under your license plate if you look. So we're just going to take that out and we're going to drain the oil. Now, if you want to know what size it is, I believe this is a 14 on here. It's a little bit bigger than a 14. Looks like it might be a 17, but I'll let you know after I drain it. So stay right here. Alright, so as you can see, we have it all drained out. We used a big rubber Tupperware container. We got a 17 mil right here, which is what the size of the bolt is, and we're just going to re-thread it in. Now, for someone who's threading this back in and you're wondering, what's this torque specs? I actually don't know off the top of my head, but what I always do for drain plugs, because even when I used to work at a fast oil change place, all we used to do is take the wrench with your hand, like so, and you just tighten it like that with one hand. And that way you know you won't strip it. If you tighten it with one hand, remember you just want it snug, and if you have a O-ring on that plug, or if you don't and or it's not there anymore, make sure you find an O-ring and put one on there, or a gasket, because if not, then it'll constantly leak. I already checked our plug. It's got a Teflon washer, so we're good, and a lock washer. Make sure you have all that, otherwise your plug might not seal properly, which would suck. So the next thing we're going to be doing is taking off the oil filter. So first I'm going to snug that bolt back up, and then I'll take off the oil filter. Stay tuned for that. I'll show you how we do it. The fact that you're coming in from the tire, I'm not going to show your face though, don't worry.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, so as you can see, the gloved man here, who's coming in from the side, and he's just going to lift his hand up on an angle, and you'll see that black thing that he's grabbing right now. That is the oil filter. You can see him knocking on it. It's really hard to see, but then again, it's, yeah, see that thing right there? The big black piece right there? That is what you're going to grab with your hand, and you're going to loosen it. If not, you'll have to use an oil filter wrench, which is, well, it just depends if you got one around, or you can use a big set of channel locks if you can get them in there. And if you watch, he's just going to unscrew it, and it's going to drain slowly.
We're going to need to move this.
Yeah, we're going to move this just over. Remember, you're going to want this, like, in a really good spot, so that way it's good. But yeah, that's basically it. We're going to reposition this, and you can see he's just going to unscrew it, and we'll go from there. And it just unscrews, but remember, it's going to pee out a bunch of oil
onto the cross member.
Yeah, there you go. So stay tuned for the next section. Alright guys, so this is the oil filter you're going to want to get your hands on. I don't know if it's the same product number across the board, but this is what we're using today. And it's just because that's what the local shop offers. So other than that, now we're going to jump over here, and we're going to, as you can see, we have a big pail of oil for this thing just because it takes so much. It says it's calling for about 7 to 7.5 liters. We'll probably put about 7 in, start her up, let it run, and then from there, if it, we'll check the dipstick and then add accordingly, which is what you should do too. So stay tuned for that. At this point, just make sure you put that filter in first. Make sure your plug's all nice and tightened up, and then we'll start adding oil. Okay, stay tuned.
It actually screws in.
So, we just found out that a Powerade bottle screws into the top of the engine, which is kind of convenient for making a funnel. So there you go. Again, that's how I make my funnels, so that way you get a new funnel every time. Just keeps it out for crap and stuff. And then we're going to throw a little bit of sludge away in, so that way we can, you know, keep our engine a little bit shiny on the inside. We usually put a little bit in, just kind of nice. And then 2 liters at a time, we pour it in. And that's just because we have a jug that we can measure out from the big one. And so the only other thing I can really recommend to you is when you're putting your oil filter on the bottom, I forgot to mention, make sure you use some of the old oil or new oil and rub the threads of the new oil filter. And then you'll see a rubber gasket on the top, and you just rub a little bit of it around the rim of that. And then when you seal it up, that way when it heats up, it keeps the threads from seizing or anything. Makes it easier for when you take it off, and just makes a better seal. But yeah, so then you just tighten your oil filter up. As you can see, we're going to add these 2 liters at a time. And like I said, after that, once you have what you think is about 7 liters in there, close the engine up, start her up, check the dipstick after you've had it run for a bit, and then if your dipstick says add oil, add as you go, depending on how far it is down the dipstick. Like I said, when I looked it up online, it said between 7 and 7.5 liters of oil. So good to know. And then we're using 1540. Make sure you don't cheap out on your oil. Again, diesels, they like a good oil, and if you treat diesels right, they'll outlast any vehicle. I've seen diesels with 1,000,000 miles on them. So anyways, hope this video helped you out. Like it if it did, and of course subscribe for more videos. We're always working on the Challenger. Peace out.